Hello guys, welcome to a video. On this video we're gonna spin up a server, a node server with the Express. Now if this video goes well, I'll make more videos. But let's go and spin up a server. Let's create a folder and call it Tube. Tube for YouTube. Then we need to open this folder and then go and find this folder. That's where we're gonna put all our files on the Tube folder. Cool. We close the welcome and we have something which is completely empty. Right? Now I have some notes. I haven't done it before, but let's see if we can do it together. We need terminal. Now there are many terminals on Windows or any other system, Linux. One is the CMD. This is a terminal. Another terminal is this one, Gitbus. Gitbus is another terminal. VS Code comes with its own terminal. I click terminal, new terminal. This is a terminal as well. It does exactly the same thing, but this terminal is more convenient because it opens the terminal exactly on the folder we want to open, and that's on C User Saran Desktop Practice Tube. As if you remember, that's where we said we're gonna put all the files. If you open a terminal manually with a CMD, this is on C Users Saran, so I need to do CD desktop. I have to go to the desktop, then I can do CD practice, right? And then I should go into the folder I want to, so I can run the commands I need to. So CD tube. Now I am on the correct folder, but it did took a while. Using this terminal, it's much easier and is much faster. So back to the question. Let's spin up a server in Node with the use of a package called Express. So let's assume we have the npm. We say npm, which is the packet manager. We say init, we initialize, and yes, that's why is the project. Right. So that creates a JSON file, right, which has some details about the project. Right. So we create this one. Now we need on the package JSON we have all the dependencies. Now what is a dependency? Dependency is something like Windows, right? Windows by themselves, they're not very good. You need other software that Windows depend on to do certain things. You need Skype, right, to communicate with people. You need Chrome to browse the internet. You need VS Code like this in order to read files or a PDF viewer. So it's the same thing here. We have to install, using the npm, which is a package manager, small packages, right, which they're gonna allow us to get the job done. So instead of saying install Skype, for example, right, instead of saying that, we're gonna say npm install a package that I'm gonna use to spin up the server, and that's the Express. As soon as I hit this button, it's gonna download that software, and you can see that here on the packages log That's the dependencies. If you go on this file, you will see that this program, this software, this server, call it whatever you want, is gonna be depending, right, on the express or other dependencies. This list will grow bigger and bigger and bigger, right? Then these files, they're pretty standard files. We might come back later on them, but what you need a file to write the code. We're gonna write JavaScript code. So we're gonna click this new file. It's gonna go inside the node modules inside the tube. We're gonna go about, and we're gonna call it server.js. And this is gonna be the file that our software starts from. Okay, this is the first entry. This is the first, the first thing the application looks for. Right. So now I need to install another package. Actually, I'll do this, the node one. I'll do it later. So I will write this line here on the first one, right? I'll close these ones, and I know that I want to use the package express. The express I install here. So I'm not gonna invoke the express server, the package, right? And I say, oh, I want to create an express. Very good. And I'm gonna save it in a constant. I'm just gonna say this is express. Every time I hit the Control S, Control Save, this dot disappears and it means I saved the code. Now I want to make an app that uses this express server. So I'm gonna say a constant. It's called app. This is standard practice, and I'm gonna say use express. Perfect. I'll save that one. Then what I want to do is decide on which port I want to run this server. There are about 65,000 ports on a computer. 65,000 ports, and we use only a handful of them. By default, a nice port that we're gonna call our server, and the server is gonna respond to us, is gonna be const port, let's say 4001. So our machine has an IP address. The IP address is the local host. Local host or the IP address is the same, and other than that IP address, it needs a port. We need to go specific, right, to call that IP address, that computer, and that port. Perfect. Right, so now what we're gonna say that this app dot listens. This is an express method. This is by default, right? It listens on that port. I have to add this one. How I do know that? I do know all this from the documentation. So if I do app.listen, it tells me that I need a port and I can put a number, but I already assigned this number to the port, right? So I won't say that, and then it will call a function. This function is called a callback function. Callback, because first I call this and then I call this function through the listen function, and this is my custom function. All right, so I write the function symbol and then arrow function, and then I'm saying I put a what I want to do. I'll put a console log. I'll put a log, console log, and I'll say right? Server is running, if I spelled correct, and I'm gonna save. And this is the server. I know, sounds crazy, right? So now, how I'm gonna run this thing? Node server.js, and that's the server. Server is running. I did run a server that way. Crazy, right? I know. So what we've done, let's revise. I run the npm init y. First of all, you need to open a terminal on this location. On the location, the file is run npm init y. It will create a project. It will create a packagation with some details. Then we need to install an external package which is called express. After that, the package log.json is gonna be created, and on the dependencies, express is going to be listed. Then you're gonna create a server.js or an index.js, but the index is very generic. I prefer the server.js. I will call my package. I'm gonna save the required package express, and I'll save it on express variable, which is constant. Then I will create an app. That's how the server is called. I'm gonna assign a port to that app, and then app listen on the port, and I call the callback function service is running. I don't remember how this is called. Backtick, this is next to number 1. Service is running, yeah, this tick is next to number 1 on a Windows computer. And then I can do $, and then I can do a port, and I can save. Now, the changes have been saved, that's important, but they have not been applied. The server hasn't restarted. So Control-C, I stop the server, up arrow because it remembers the commands, and now server.js, and you can see the service is running on that port. Let me stop it again. Control-C, up arrow, node server. So I have a server running on 4001, and that's the first step of creating a server on Node application. I'll come back on that one. We're gonna do more things on that one, but more on that on the next